Hi, this is the monthly horoscope for Aries for October 2023. October 2023 is eclipse season. We have two eclipses happening. So overall, this is going to be a really important month for you, Aries. Keep in mind that this horoscope is a general horoscope, and I am offering 30-minute personal eclipse readings. So if you would like to actually know what's happening in your chart and specifically what this eclipse means for you, then the link is down in the description box. So we start off the month with a bang. We have between October 2nd to the 4th, we have Mars conjunct the South Node in your 7th house and Venus sextiling them in Leo in your 5th house. During this month, you might have some explosive outbursts, some resentment that seems that it comes out of nowhere, and especially where you give too much of yourself in your relationships and you forget to set a boundary. Keep in mind, because Mars is conjunct the South Node, anything that comes out of this period of time might seem like it's coming out of nowhere. And this is because it's coming from a sort of karmic release or something that you learned, a tendency that you had growing up. Because Venus is a part of this conversation in your 5th house, see if there are any needs for recognition from the certain people around you that are actually making you not stand firm with your boundaries. Later in the month, on the 8th, 9th, and 10th, sorry to tell you, but it doesn't get any easier. Mars has progressed past the South Node and is now squaring a Capricorn in your 10th house. And at the same time, Venus has entered Virgo and is starting to oppose Saturn in Pisces. During this time, you are considering if there are any old traditions you still believe in as to the way you come across to the rest of the world and the image that you give to others being in a partnership. Pluto in the 10th house, especially with having the South Node, encouraging some conversations around your relationship, to me shows that you might still believe, there might be a part of you that still believes that the image that you give to the world, that you give a good image to the rest of the world by showing them you are in partnership. So take a look if this belief is still holding you back. And during this time, because of the Venus and Saturn opposition, you might feel like there is a fight within you between realizing that everybody is human and loving and appreciating everybody, and at the same time, the Venus in Virgo in your 6th house wanting to be very picky, very stuck to routines, and not caring about who you trample on along the way. These two are really intense aspects, a square and an opposition, also with Pluto and Saturn, which are also quite intense planets. So this might be one of the heavier days in October. Moving on, we have the big event on October 14th. We have a solar eclipse in Libra. We have the Sun, Moon, Mercury, South Node, and Mars all together in Libra. And they are still in conversation. They're still loosely in conversation with Saturn in your 12th house and Pluto in your 10th house. If you have not learned your lesson and made some adjustments around compromising earlier in the month, then on the 14th, there might be a big crescendo, a big release, a big event that happens that really forces you to go that way. So you're really being confronted in where are you compromising in your relationships and letting your needs go and not standing up for yourself. For you, especially Aries, I see a lot of this internal work being about releasing your beliefs, your old beliefs that don't serve you anymore. So we talked already about how you believe that you need to exert an image to the rest of the world that you are in a relationship and what that means about your worth and how people see you. But also having Saturn in the mix in your 12th house, there might be some themes coming up as to your internal worth regarding relationships, feeling like there is a part of you that is complete when you are in a relationship. So if you do not learn your lessons during the solar eclipse on the 14th, then don't worry. There is a second chance to do so on the 21st of the month. The sun is slowly making its way through Libra, and on the 21st, it's squaring Pluto exact. I do not think this will be as intense. The sun moves quite quickly, so this transit will go by quite quickly. But I also do not think it will be very intense because there is an aspect between Venus and Jupiter. Venus in Virgo and Jupiter in Taurus will trine on the 21st. Because Jupiter is in your second house of resources, this continuing conversation of where do I put others first versus putting myself first might begin to involve the topic of money or the topic of resources. So even though this day will be a little bit more gentle, I don't think it will be something that will hit us in the face. At the same time, we're including a new part of the story. So, in what ways are you compromising or keeping peace with the other, especially when it comes to money, especially if you're sharing a bank account with somebody in your life? 2 days later, on the 23rd, the sun enters Scorpio, which is your eighth house. And at the same time, it begins to trine Saturn in Pisces in your 12th house. Any of the things that you encountered in the first half of the month, you might find that towards the second half of the month, it's more about integrating them within you. The eighth house and the 12th house are more internal houses. And especially having Scorpio, the sun in Scorpio in the eighth house, I see the rest of October and November for you as really looking deep inside you and fixing some of these tendencies that you saw in the first month of October, in the first half of October, also internally, really learning the lessons deeply inside you. So you'll be happy to know that afterwards we have a bit of a break, or at least until the lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse will be happening in Taurus on October 28th. This lunar eclipse will be a little bit more charged because we have Mars in the mix. So Mars is in Scorpio together with the sun, opposing the moon and Jupiter in your second house. Mercury is also part of this mix in Scorpio, conjunct with Mars and the sun. So we talked about how around the 21st, these themes around resources and money might already be coming up, but in a little bit more of a gentle way. So if they are issues or ideas that you didn't deal with quite yet, that you shoved under the rug, then in the lunar eclipse on the 28th, they will be the most intense and they might come back up to the surface. So see if there is any anger coming out during this time in regards to the resources that you share with somebody else and how much you rely on them versus how much independence you have on your own. If there has been an excess of giving, again, Jupiter in Taurus can give quite a bit. There is an abundance of it. And especially during the Libra time, where you started to see all of the ways that you're not okay with stepping over your boundaries, it's possible that during this lunar eclipse, you start to become angry about all of the abundance and all of the exaggeration of peace and love that you show towards somebody else. And finally, we've made it at the end of the month. We have Venus in Virgo in your sixth house, trining Uranus in Taurus in your second house. Towards the end of the month, this type of energy shows that you're finding peace, calm, security, stability, self-worth, no longer in your relationships with others, but more into your routines, in your body. And it's just a little bit more of a balanced energy and a really nice way to close off the month. So all of that being said, I hope you enjoyed your forecast, your horoscope for the month of October. You got this. Just think of it as a big learning opportunity. And if you want to know exactly what this means for your chart, you can book a 30-minute eclipse reading with me. We are literally going to sit down together. We're going to take a look at what houses are being triggered, what planets are being triggered, and overall get more concrete about what this means in the period of life in which you are in. So the link to book that is down below in the description box. I do these forecasts every month. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to make sure you catch the one for November. And I hope to see you again soon.